Hello and welcome to this presentation of our beginner strategy for spin and go tournaments. This strategy is easy to learn and still offers a good chance for a successful start in the fascinating world of online poker. Spin and go tournaments are offered by most of the biggest poker rooms, and though each room has given them a different name, the rules and format are the same. At iPoker, spin and goes are called Twister Poker, at PokerStars they are called Spin and Goes, and at Full Tilt they are called Jackpot SNGs. This strategy applies to all these variants, as the only difference between them is their name, and we will just be referring to them as spin and goes hereafter for exemplary purposes. So what exactly is a spin and go? At the beginning of a spin and go, 3 players buy in with $1. And afterwards, the prize money these players are competing for is randomly chosen, so you will always play for a jackpot of at least $2, while the highest possible jackpot is $3,600. If you're interested, you can find the exact jackpot allocation, so meaning how likely is it that a specific jackpot is chosen, in the article linked in the description of this video. And after the prize pool has been randomly selected, the 3 participants will play for it. Following the winner takes it all format, this means that the player who has all the chips at the end of the tournament wins the entire prize pool, with the players in second and third place winning nothing. One more quick warning before we begin. The beginner strategy only applies to spin and goes with the buy-in for $1. You should gain your first experience at that limit and only play for bigger stakes once you have proven that you can beat the $1 spin and goes over a long period of time. In order to win money playing poker, it's helpful to play against weak opponents. And luckily, these players are often drawn to spin and goes. The prospect of winning a big jackpot with a small buy-in attracts a lot of gamblers that haven't equipped themselves with the right strategy, simply relying on their personal luck and hoping for a big win. For good players like you, who want to tackle spin and goes with a proper strategy, you will have the mathematics on your side and win more often in the long run. Besides the weak competition, spin and goes offer another advantage, and that's that they are really easy to learn. Basically, poker tends to get more complicated the more big blinds there are involved, and in spin and goes you often don't have many of these. So for example, when you have a stack of 600 chips and the big blind is already 60 chips, you only have 10 big blinds. And for a stack of this size, a simple but very effective strategy can be presented with only a few tables, and that's basically also how this strategy is structured. So let's now delve into it. You will learn how to find the right decision for a specific hand when sitting at a spin and go table in 4 easy steps. The first 3 steps revolve around collecting the necessary information of your decision, enabling you to find the correct one at the table during the last step. So let's start with step 1. The first important information is your position at the poker table. It determines whether you're attacking or defending the blinds. The position of the players are selected randomly before the first hand, and if you're selected to get the dealer button, you're on the so-called button. Your position is called small blind when you have to pay the small blind, and big blind when you have to pay the big blind. The position of the dealer button switches with every hand, and therefore you also have to determine your position again at the beginning of each new hand. Once a player has been eliminated, the procedure changes slightly. In terms of the remaining 2 players, now always gets the dealer button and has to pay the small blind. If you're in this situation, the small blind tables apply, so simply consider yourself in the small blind and don't get distracted by the dealer button. The next important factor is called effective stack size. Stack size stands for the amount of chips in a player's stack. The effective stack size specifies how many big blinds you would risk at most when going all in. So let's take a look at how effective stack size is calculated. First, you check which players could still enter the hand. If a player has folded his hand, he is not relevant with regards to the current effective stack size. In our example, the player on the button has folded, so the effective stack size depends on you and the small blind. In the next step, you compare your own with your opponent's stack size, checking how many big blinds you would win or lose at most in the respective hands. If your stack is bigger than the stack of your opponent, the second biggest stack represents the effective stack size. if your stack is smaller than the stack of your opponent, your stack automatically represents the effective stack size. When determining the effective stack size, the blinds that have already been paid in the respective hand are always added back to the player's stack. In this example, you're on the button, and all players could still join the hand, and therefore all players have to be taken into account to determine the effective stack size. Since you have the biggest stack, the effective stack size is determined by the player with the second biggest stack, and that's in this case the big blind. The big blind of 40 chips that has already been paid is added again to his chip stack in order to precisely determine the effective stack size. So in total, the player in the big blind has a stack of 480 chips, which corresponds to an effective stack size of 12 big blinds, since the big blind is currently at 40 chips. Further examples and exercises on effective stack size can be found in the article that is linked in the description to this video. The next step now is to find out if there's a realistic chance to win the blinds without resistance by going all in. That possibility exists as long as your opponents can still fold. Therefore, you should first check whether one of your opponents has already shown strength by calling, raising, or going all in himself. Basically, you have to differentiate between two scenarios. So scenario 1, no one has entered the hand before it is your turn, and this is the case when you're on the button or when an opponent has folded and it's now your turn, so like in this case. Scenario 2, one of your opponents has already entered the hand either by calling, raising, or going all in. And this is all the information you need in order to find the correct play within the respective tables. When following this beginner strategy, you are playing according to the so-called push or fold strategy. That means that you're constantly only choosing between two actions. Either you go all in, which is also known as pushing, or you simply fold your hand. In order to find out whether your hand is strong enough for an all in, you need all the information collected in steps 1 to 3, so you are aware of your position, the effective stack size, and whether an opponent has already joined the hand or not. In order to write down poker hands effectively, a simple notation has been developed, and A stands for ace, K for king, Q for queen, J for jack, and T for 10. And if a small s is added to a hand, this indicates that the hand is suited, meaning both hole cards have the same suit. And in contrast, a small O stands for offsuit, which means that the two cards are different suits. So if you're seeing something like 5-5 in the table, this represents a pair of fives. KJS would indicate a starting hand consisting a king and a jack of the same suit, so one of these four possibilities. AKO would represent all starting hands consisting of an ace and a king, with both cards having different suits. Now we have everything at hand in order to properly read the tables. So overall there are 5 different tables, each representing a different position and situation. Of course, you can find all of these tables in the article for this video. The first table should be used when you're on the button, and if you're in the small blind and the button has folded his hand, you should refer to the second table. The third table should be used when the button has joined the hand, and if you're in the big blind and the button has entered the hand, you should refer to the fourth table. And when the small blind has joined the hand, the fifth table should be used. The colors indicate how strong your hand is. So blue hands are so strong that you can go all in with them at any effective stack size, while yellow hands are a bit weaker and you should only go all in with them once the effective stack size is smaller than 12 big blinds, which means that if the effective stack size is bigger than 11 big blinds, you simply fold these hands. And red hands should only be pushed all in when the effective stack size is already less than 6 big blinds. And then there's also one additional rule. Whenever the effective stack size is only 3 big blinds or less, you should simply move all in with any hand, no matter what hand you're holding. Let's exercise reading the tables with some examples. So in this spot you're on the button and nobody has joined the hand yet. Each player is relevant for the effective stack size, and since you have the biggest stack, the effective stack size is represented by the big blind stack. He has the second biggest stack and 480 chips in total, which corresponds to 12 big blinds. And with Jack 10 offsuit, you're holding a yellow hand, which is too weak in order to go all in this spot. Therefore, you simply fold. The same spot, with a slight difference. This time you're holding a blue hand with Jack 10 suited, and therefore this time you can go all in and attack the blinds. In this example, you're on the small blind, and the button has entered the hand by going all in. The big blind could also still join the hand. Therefore, the effective stack size depends on all three players, and the green player has more chips than you, which means that your stack represents effective stack size. And since you have 650 chips and the current big blind is 100 chips, the effective stack size is 6.5 big blinds. Yeah, from the table you can gather that your hand is strong enough to go all in, and therefore this is what you do in this spot, just go all in. And in our last example we took a look at a special situation. So you only have a stack of 80 chips and the big blind is currently already 40 chips. This puts you in the category 3 big blinds or less, and meaning you should go all in with any hand, of course in this spot as well. In conclusion, let's summarize the beginner strategy for spin and goes one more time. 4 steps are necessary to find out if you should go all in or not. First, you need to determine your position, then you calculate the effective stack size in order to assess the risk of an all in, and the third step is checking if an opponent has already joined the hand, before continuing with the fourth and final step, in which you use all the information gathered to determine the correct play with the help of the respective hand table. This concludes the video on our beginner strategy for spin and goes. We wish you lots of success with this strategy, and feel free to ask any question that you might still have within our poker community. Yeah, so long.